Chastia, I'm coming at you from the kitchen. This is how I was guided to set this up today. And it's a little different for me. So, welcome to my kitchen. This is the Four Horsemen back here. I don't know if you see the painting. This painting I got in 2012 when everything started really hitting the fan in my life. And I found this painting in Bryan, Texas, and I had to have it. And this painting is legit the Four Horsemen back there, if you can see it. And it's been with me ever since, and now it's hanging in the kitchen. It's January 7th. Oven's hot. It's January 7th, 2025, and hey Dawn, I gotta make a roast. Now I've even had this sitting in my kitchen, reminding me that I need to roast. And you know, in a world where everybody was being cooked in different recipes, whenever you're undoing things consciously, then sometimes you just gotta cook. And so I've got to cut up half an onion because I think I've got some onion right here. Now I've never made this roast this way, and I'm using my grandmother's pan. I'm just following my guidance here. Now, what I wanted to come on here and talk to y'all about is when we talk about the presidency and we talk about how the collective is tuned to leadership. Whether you are in the United States of America and you're under a presidential system that is tuned typically to AB negative. Now, this is where this is going to get a little interesting. Typically, especially in the United States, your presidents were always AB negatives, and the AB negatives were the plasma, and they were the easiest characters to write, because AB negatives are connected into large groups of consciousness, and each AB negative is connected to different bands of time. So every AB negative that you meet, which is not very many of us, if you've been around a whole bunch of us, then that should tell you something. But each AB negative is tuned to a specific gate of time, and a gate of DNA and family lines, and those who had leadership in the past under those flags. So AB negatives typically, and this is why, you know, especially this all started coming out to the public whenever Obama became president, and we were looking for his certificate and all of that. Well, that Obama was a complete override walk-in from like an AI perspective. It's why he even looks like Akhenaten and everything else. But this was Epstein, and this is what Epstein and those groups were doing, was interfering with the consciousness of the people going to that AB negative. Now, this is why the presidency worked. It worked for a really long time in after-death timelines. It's how America became the country that everybody was after. But it wasn't about the land, but it was about the land connected to the consciousness of the people. Because the AB negatives are connected to the people. So what I'm telling you is that when the system works correctly, the people of the United States of America are making major decisions for the president in consciousness. Presidents just getting the highest and most conclusive solutions delivered to them in their consciousness. But the public and the collective really is, ooh, this onion's going south. Really is how America became great, because of the people. Now, currently, what's interesting is that Trump is not an AB negative. Trump is an A negative. Well, that makes a lot of sense to me. Because first of all, good or bad or indifferent, anybody who knows anything about masonry and time travel is very aware that Trump was a time traveler. All of us are very aware that Trump wrote himself into history. Trump's uncle was the one who came when Tesla died. Oh, I'm about to start tearing up. Trump's uncle was one that came when Tesla died. When Tesla died and all the research that was in the vault, then Trump's uncle took all that research to the government, and then according to history, the government wasn't interested in the data. Well, that's a gimme that's bullshit. So basically what they did at that point in time is they had the connectors on the in-between from cosmic energy and how that free energy is getting down here, and then how that's playing out within people's lives, within certain written characters on the ground. Boom shakalaka, you got Nixon. And yeah, I went backwards. Boom shakalaka, you got Nixon. The entire plot that was going on down here with AB negatives and baby farming, what all your labs, it didn't matter what lab, it didn't matter what human trafficking division, it didn't matter what pedo ring, it didn't matter, is all connected into one massive manipulation machine in order to trauma bond and traumatize everybody in order to, I'm shaking inside, to make a false reality. Because this is a big one. This isn't a normal reality. This isn't the normal timeline where we just do it the way we always did. This is the timeline where you got to be on your toes in order to catch a change. So the writing in of a family line did steal 200 years of history. It did. We've talked about this. There shouldn't be a president right now. That was the lie. The lie is that a presidency still worked, because it didn't. It was working for AI. It was working for NATO. This is how the United States became controlled by other countries. This is why Biden's paying Ukraine and everyone else to do their farming, to do their manipulation, in order to have the collective go in a different direction. You've witnessed it the last 4 years. The A negative line down here was the first one to be taken by AI. A negative is more of your animalistic side. A negative is the animalistic side. A negative is human impulse. A negative is any type of impulse, intuitive thought, anything that's on the inside of the body. It's made from blood and an intuitive intuition on reading what's going on. A negs typically don't see visions. They don't have a lot of intuitive thought in their mind. It all comes from a gut instinct, because it's connected to all other living things on the planet to give you a read on what it is that energy is coming in. Is there a wolf at the door? Is there what's at the door? Is there something good about to happen? All the animals on the planet are feeling it. The A neg is going to pick that up. This is how we were able to get Trump to move his head the day he got shot. Energy was in Leo. That morning on TikTok, what I did was put out, okay, this is body consciousness, and we were able to get him to move his head because he has an intuitive body consciousness because he's an A neg. Now, he doesn't have any B. Now, this is the part that they took full advantage of, making a Trump. If you notice, Trump is always getting pulled from one Asian country to another. Either he's dealing with China or he's dealing with Japan. That's the B's. The B is the mind. Serious B, the mind. The densest part of you, the reality, the cartoonistic piece. Trump is very aware of the sacrifice stuff, financial sacrifices. He's aware that there's financial sacrifices in what you'd consider the skull and bones, the Illuminati, da-da-da-da-da-da. But see, they wouldn't consider themselves doing the dirty work. They don't even want to know about that other part. This is how they keep their consciousness clear. In fact, they do spells in order to forget it. When other groups are the ones that are getting hired from the prison system and these different lines in New Orleans and Africa in order to do these crazy little blood rituals and everything else that they had that they were doing as they were doing the cooking. My point is, though, that the Republicans always ran just the financial spells. Okay? The B negative side is going to be your tech. Your B neg is baked. So kind of like Elon Musk and Trump are kind of like making up a full AB negative. Except but Elon, them two together, tied at the hip, would give you an AI. Trump's a puppet. Trump's the puppet. So Trump's like the A side, and then Elon's running the B side. All the mental stuff, but it's mental. It's going to always lead in a dead end. The point is, those two got to work together. And if they would have had the correct president at the end of days and not attempted to just bring back in the end of days timeline so that they could take over the world, that part, then you'd have one unit. Because an AB negative was supposed to, the reason that AB negatives even became the president template is because at the end of days, an AB negative was written to be your president because we're the ones that are connected into the evolution of the planet, and we know the clearings, and all of it is just recreating. So all of it just needs to be finished, and we're well aware of that. You're not well aware of that whenever you split. Now, the B neg side is going to be all your tech, all the Asian manipulation, and from an A bloodline, the B is more ancient. This is why we had the year of the dragon. This is how the Asians and the dynasties, and according to like Elon and even Trump's highest Akashic records and the energy that they're in, they would think that Japan and China would have the most ancient teachings, because it's where the Christ consciousness and the Christ energy and the whole thing originally started from. Because whenever you really understand what this was all about and how it made a parade throughout these countries over thousands and thousands and thousands of years, as in a dragon consciousness, that you actually are in the core of the planet and you're moving with the planet. So the energy and the power sources of where that energy ends up is going to change over these counts. That's why it was ridiculous that this was even getting fought in Israel. Has nothing to do with Israel. It's flooding in Dubai right now. It's because the whole thing flipped. The power source isn't there. It hadn't been there. It's been down here in the United States. It has been, at least for the last 1,000 years. Because that's the timeline they stole. It was 1,000 years peace. $900 and something became 1900 really quick whenever the 1,000 years peace was supposed to set in. Now, the reason that I'm telling everybody this, we got to start using Cohu 32. We really don't, I mean, what we're teaching it as best as we can while we're doing it, but, in theory, everyone on the planet, we should have at least 2 million people that are following Cohu 32. You know why? It's a system they use to set it in place. It had already been done. It's been being utilized. It's subliminal messaging. Subliminal messaging attached to entire races of DNA over long periods of time and their connections. So, us in the United States, if you're wanting to know, how do I help? What can we do? Here's what we do. Everyone in the United States needs to realize that this is consciousness. The presidency is run on consciousness, and now we've pulled the consciousness up to a new band. It was there in 2018. It was just taken over. It's how I ended up on a government group with 20 AB negatives. So what that means is that I don't care if you're spiritual or not. You got the smartest people. Let's say there's a group of entrepreneurs. Let's say that there's a really smart group of entrepreneurs. Let's say over here on this side there's a really smart group of spiritual beings like me. And whenever a problem comes up that we're seeing, that we're being shown on the propaganda, get together and make a solution. Don't speak about what the problem is. The propaganda is showing us what the problem is. The propaganda is also maybe even producing a problem that's not even there. Because they're wanting to run a solution that's on a record. Well, if us in the United States get together in these independent groups, like what we've been doing for 7 years, this is how we even know what we're telling you now, and we see something that comes across the news and we get online, don't even have to get in the physical, get with your group, say, okay, we're gonna work in the consciousness of the presidency. We're gonna work in the consciousness of the United States of America and the people of the United States of America. Here is what they're saying the issue is. Okay, team, let's get a solution. Let's talk about it. Let's debate it. And there's gonna be debates, thank gosh, because what it's all about. So debate it. Talk about it. Come up with a reasonable solution that you feel is what is best for the people. Now, here is the good news. If it gets played, who wants to be president? Who wants to be president? Put your hand up. None of us. None of us. If you're telling me to shut up right now, then you're considered a communist. Andare se quiere shontere mori se che andoro se tere se quieren borrandia. And realize what I'm doing right here is just what they're doing in Russia and Ukraine. Our family lines were trapped in the system because we had the ability to cook. The reason that we became sacrificial lambs is because we're connected with everybody and they wanted us to cook the human race. First 4 years, that's what the Illuminati was all over me. Most of y'all thought I was working for them, but I was undercover. But yeah, they really thought that I was a lead one. They were counting on me to gather up all y'all's souls. Everybody really needs to consider why Lucifer was in hell this whole time. And you need to start realizing that the whole world was acting on the behalf of Lucifer in the lower energies. Lucifer wanted the fuck out of there. It's the human race that kept him down in there. No more. You're going to have to learn how it works. You're going to have to sit down and you're going to have to learn how you're being controlled. So for all of us, this is how we make changes. And if you ask my MIT crew, my spiritual crews, they're going to see the difference. They're going to notice the changes in their lives whenever their solution is chosen. Whenever their solution is the one that the White House sends out a message, and you didn't have to meet with the president, but that's what's going into play. Well, my spiritual ones know that then their timeline just went global, and everything that's attached to them just went global at the same energy of a presidential memo. If you're MIT and you're wondering, what's in it for me? I don't know. What are y'all building? You trying to build the next social media app? You trying to build something to take over a global systems payment? Are you trying to make something that's going to make you a whole crap load of money with some brand new tech that's going to solve some issues? Or just be fun? I don't know what it is that you're building, but if you are building something like that and you use your consciousness and if you have a little stand-up meeting with your MIT team, 5 minutes a day, at the beginning of the day, and you're talking about government events or some hot topic that just came up, but you put your brains together and you come up with a different solution that seems to be fair for everybody, then if your solution is then part of the one that gets heard by the consciousness in the White House, you're in the band. It's how it works. It's how it's been working. It's when the human race gets taken over by AI and your mind gets filled with a bunch of BS from an artificial source that then makes you think that that's the direction you want to go because everything in the middle is an illusion. Now, here down in the United States, it's not whenever you're going through this process, then here's the thing. You're going to be tested because, yeah, there's going to be some MIT people that are going to try to get together, and there's going to be religious groups that are going to try to get together, and they're going to try to outright different religions that are basically the dominant religion in these countries. Isn't that what's going on right now? When they do that, then they're getting locked out because it's all a test. So if you happen to see this and then you think, oh, okay, well, Chastity has told us now all I got to get is my freaking downloads all together and come up with a plan that's going to dominate. It's already been done. It's been done for the past 1,000 years. So if you do go and do that, then you just redid it again, and then you're stuck in the line whenever you could have ascended out of it and done something new. Because I don't know, if it's up to me, I'm done having to cook the human race. Because this is what the human race is being cooked. We can't undo and change anything unless it's the way that they did it. So when we come out of this, we know exactly how they did it, because we have to use the way that they did to undo it. So you'll be taught lessons. And even if it's a little mess up, whenever you're like, oh, okay, I've got the answer. Our group says this is what we do. Russia, from what we know, Russia is this, and this is this, and from what we know, then this is the play. And so they were like, okay, consciousness, we're putting in our vote. This is the play. Send it to Trump. Then 5 days later, something crazy comes out with Russia and everything comes out and it totally changes your perception on what you were told Russia was. Good. That's how it works. You're going to get that information. Somebody on the team is going to get that information. Then it's like, okay, wait a minute. Back to our plan. We got to change some stuff up real quick. We need to look at who we put right here because we just got some new information that wasn't given to the public. But since we called it out, now the public's got it. So, okay, we got to change these little pieces around. Okay, put in our vote. Send it to Trump. So I'm going to finish cooking my roast. And this is how we do it. This is how it's been being done. This is how we utilize the process and in order to take back control. And it's currently what time it is with the collective, with the sun being in Lyra 2, because the collective is writing this. We're writing it. Problem is, enough of us aren't writing it. Problem is, there's too many from the Middle East that are writing for the United States. Wake up. 5 minutes every morning. Or at night. Whatever it is. And it might not just be politics. This is the car industry. This is what do you want happening with TikTok. This is why is this going on with TikTok. We command to know. Working in these groups and all these different topics is sending out energy to command it for the people. So I love y'all. I gotta get the roast in the oven. Takes about 3 to 4 hours to cook. It's 2:32, which is sun codes, and the divine feminine, most ascended codes. That's what time it is.